Hello, loopers out there in Loopland. Taylor here. I'm really excited to announce something new. Announcing Loop Insights. Loop Insights is a AI-driven method to analyze your own data and give you recommendations for changes to your insulin sensitivity, your carb ratio, and your basal rates. And it lives inside of settings. So if you go in here and enable it, you will be able to configure your AI provider, which is AI API agnostic. You can use your own and you can update it over time. So that's forward protection for changes in model names, etc. And if you have self-hosted options like Azure, you can add those options to the advanced API settings section. You can configure how far back you want it to look in your data for analysis and recommendations, etc. And then when you apply changes that it's suggesting, you have a few options for how you would like to apply them. You can do them manually like we would normally do if we go to therapy settings. You can just give it a one tap and it will go and apply them itself. These are all logged to, by the way, and you can go and revert any of these changes that you want. Or you can use a pre-fill editor. I like to include biometric data as much as possible because some of those things factor into how well you absorb your food, how long it takes, your portions, etc., your activity, your motion, your steps you're taking, all that kind of thing. So if you enable it, it will pull that through HealthKit. You can also make it include some things like circadian data, your response to food data, caffeine tracking data, to advise you on further refinement and fine tuning of those settings. And if you want, you can add your Night Scout website there for additional data mining. We gave it a little bit of a personality choice. I like the tough love setting because I like to hear it straight, right? But if you just want, normal diabetic clinical expertise, you can choose the voice and tenor of its recommendations, which is kind of a fun thing. We also added the ability for it to monitor in the background as changes occur and data is consumed, more data is put into it. It will, if it finds a insight or a trend that it wants to suggest a change to you for, it will in the background tell you that, and it'll pop it up, and you can make it run through that routine every 6 hours or once a day, or whatever you're comfortable with. And then you can choose whether you only want high quality suggestions or medium to high or all suggestions, whether they're, of low value or not. And then you've got a quiet hour block you can enable, and you can choose how you want it to tell you what suggestions it may have. So that's for backgrounding. But all of that stuff, all of the analyses, is all basically, it lives here in this dashboard. So these are the settings, the main settings for the app. But really, you really operate here under this dashboard. So here's where you can go in and one by one, you can choose any one of those 3 therapy settings that you want it to analyze for you. And pick them one by one or pick them all. Say analyze all of them at the same time, however you want to do it, and give it the amount of data that you want it to use for this analysis, whether it's 90 days, 14 days, 3. And it will give you a little bit of a, like in this case, we have an AGP profile because we chose 14 days, and that's how an AGP works. But if you want a standard glucose profile, a 30-day profile, you can get that as well. And it will give you some basic stuff we're all familiar with. So this is a little bit of, familiar look and feel of expressing time in range based on your data. And then it will give you an assessment down here at the bottom. And look, it shows you your current settings score. This is whether you have good settings, bad settings, need improvement, excellent, A rating. It gives you a little settings score. And then it gives you whatever it suggests, whatever it finds, it will list it here for you to choose which ones to apply or dismiss. And if you want more information about why it would tell me, I think you should increase your basal rate between the hours of 12 a.m. to 6, you tap the reasoning button, and it will show you what evidence it has for the suggestion. And if you go, okay, cool, I agree to that change, click the apply suggestion. That's it. Or you can dismiss one. So down here, we also have some interesting bits and bobs. Ask Loop Insights is an AI generative way of asking specific questions in the context of yours and only your data. So no more generic stuff out there, on Claude or Grok about diabetes in general. This is going to answer questions that really only apply to you because it's your data that it's using in its context. So that's pretty cool. I added a caffeine tracker here for those of us who drink coffee, knowing that coffee can impact how our body absorbs blood glucose and how it affects our control. If you want to track it here, do so. And then if you added something you didn't want to, you just delete it with the slider. But if you do this religiously enough, then it will begin to incorporate caffeine impacts into its analysis. And if it has recommendations that can help you with that, it will include that. I have a goals and patterns section here. It's a rudimentary right now, but if you have goals you want to set and track them, you can do that there. If you are tracking information about meals or interested in looking at what it's tracking about meals, this will show you time and date of the meal, how many carbs, and what its impact on you was. Now, this is not the same as Food Finder. That's different. But if you install Food Finder and you install Loop Insights, it will bring over much more information here about the analyses of food that you do using Food Finder. And then if you want a full-on history of everything it has ever suggested, you can see I've been doing a lot of testing here. You can find that here and you can filter them. And if you did this change here, for example, and you want to revert it, you just go into it and you click the orange button and you can revert that change. Okay. Now, lastly, trends and insights. So, you got 5 minutes to kill. You want to kind of make it analyze your stuff to today's current date or for the last week and give you any insights that it gleans. And it will show you what it sees in your history. And then it will give you any kind of recommendations of the highlights that you might be interested in. If you slide over here to the right, you can look at your general, stats here and then tap advisor and you're back to talking to Loop Insights, and it's pretty cool. So what I like about this is it makes it easy to manage basal rate, carb ratio, and insulin sensitivity settings and optimize them over time. The more data that it has access to, the better it can be, more accurate it can be at what it advises for you. So it's read-only. To authorize access to HealthKit and all your other data, it's read-only. Your API keys are all stored in your keychain locally, and all of that persists if you have to reinstall Loop or reinstall Loop Insights into Loop. I am working on a script-based way to install Loop Insights and Food Finder and Auto Presets, my 3 apps, to make it a lot simpler for you to apply them. And so look for that coming out shortly. But in the meantime, please post any comments or feedback that you have about this new app. And I would love to hear from you and collaborate on how we can make this really, really useful for all of us loopers. And I thank you for your time and appreciate